Hello everybody and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United transfer news. Some big story updates in relation to Frenkie de Jong. Wait for me, says Frenkie, or does he? We've got some big updates coming in from the president of Barcelona, who turns more times than a pancake. He really does flip. But we've also got some other stories as well coming out of Spain. So interesting there. Looking forward to getting into that. And also I really want to get into your comments tonight, because I don't think over the games and the pre-season and all the transfer stuff, and I've had a lot of things to say, and I'd like to get a few of your comments. A bit of a Q&A maybe a little bit on the show tonight as well. But I'm a little bit late, and I admit I'm a little bit late because the reason is I was hot. I was just so hot. And I don't mean like walking down the streets and girls and boys whistling at me going, God, you're stunning. I mean, I do get used to that, but I was actually genuinely hot. I had a hoodie on and I was going to go live. And then I was like, you know when you go out without a coat and you think it might rain and you're like, oh, I don't know whether to wear a coat or not. And I was a bit like that. So I took it off and then I felt really hot. So I had to calm myself down a little bit there. Tony, thank you very much for joining the members club for 3 months. You're a legend. But before we get into the show, and we've got these comments to come in from the Presidente of Barcelona, and I'm sure you've got lots of things to say as well. Talking about being hot, one way that you can cool down this summer is with Manscaped, who are sponsoring the show today. As I'm sure you see in the link in the video description, it's officially summertime and everybody talks about looking good for the warmer months, but have the balls to do it. Well, it's time to get your grass trimmed to look bigger, basically. Give yourself a little bit more room down there with Manscaped, who are giving you 20% off plus free worldwide shipping when you use the code United Stand, or you scan the QR code with your phone on the QR code, or go through the link in the description. What is Manscaped? Well, I've got the Manscaped performance package, but this is the Manscaped 4.0 lawnmower, adjustable lengths, fantastic product, electromagnetic battery charger, which means it's wireless basically. It's also got a light for a more precise shave. It's waterproof as well. I would recommend don't do it when you're all wet down there. It's like trying to cut your grass in the rain. It just all gets wet and flat, and you can't cut it properly. So what I would recommend is get in the shower, turn the lights on, don't turn the shower on, get it all done, and then afterwards turn it off, put it away, and rinse. And trust me, you'll be in for a big surprise. Fantastic products. They've got the performance package as well, where it comes with a travel bag. You can get the weed whacker, which is up your nose. You get a ball deodorant, crop reviver, performance boxer briefs, and all that. Fantastic products, fantastic technology. Manscaped have been sponsoring us now for quite a while, and I've been using the products for quite a while. Genuinely like to promote stuff that we actually would use, and I do use these. Not these ones. These are... I don't want to scare people. This has not been anywhere near my family jewels. This is just a prototype. I can put it on my face and everything. Look, I'm not going to lick it, but because I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure I haven't used that one. Anyway, jokes aside, Manscaped are about everyone that watches the United Stand, as you know. So 20% off plus free worldwide shipping when you use the code United Stand at checkout, or you can scan the QR code. Thanks again to Manscaped for sponsoring the show. And always good feedback on Manscaped as well from people who use it. So thank you very much. Not that I'm hanging around outside their shower going, how did it go? But people do tend to message me about it. Anyway, we've got a new member in Peaky Soldier, and we've been patient enough. Is there a way out? We can only hope for the best, says Tap, who I think maybe wants a way out of the Frenkie de Jong deal. Let's get on with it. So, I'm going to start off with a story from Sport, and then we're going to move on to the president of Barcelona, which is probably the A-star information, and then we're going to get into a bit of a debate, and then we're going to take some of your questions, and we're going to run like that tonight. So get looking forward to it, because I certainly am. So Sport, which is a Barcelona outlet, have said that effectively Frenkie de Jong has not ruled out a move to Manchester United, but he will not discuss a move to Manchester United until he has had his wage issue resolved, which is this money that he is owed. Now, secondary to that is that this season, Frenkie de Jong's wages go up considerably. So for Frenkie de Jong to stay at Barcelona, he would have to write off the money he's been owed and take a pay cut. So what he's basically saying is, I will go to Manchester United or wherever, but I will not go or discuss going until you give me the money that I'm owed. Welcome to the Members Club, Josh and Kieran. Thank you very much. Can Manscaped play in midfield, says Rican. Probably do a better job than McTominay. Although, I've just found out, if you watch McTominay on fast play, he's quite good. Because all those slow little pivots and bunny hops, it looks really good on fast play. I'm telling you now, McTominay on fast play is really good. But, Mark, I've been watching the numbers on the top left climb like crazy throughout the window. Well done to United Stand. Any chance of a few memberships tonight, says Mushy. Yeah, we'll chuck in a few memberships tonight. Why not? Why not? I'll gift some memberships tonight because I've got a new membership video coming out tomorrow. So, yeah, happy to do that. And I want people to get involved with the Fantasy Premier League as well that we've got on the members section as well. So make sure you do that. So, Sport are basically saying that Frankie de Jong has not ruled out a move to Manchester United, but just won't discuss it until he gets the money that he is owed. The money he's owed is 17 million euros, and Barcelona have had a new lever today that could force them to move it. So I feel like the de Jong deal is moving forward. Now, some people will be screaming at me, I don't want to talk about de Jong. It's boring. We should move away. It's embarrassing. And I don't disagree, but you can't fight the feeling. You can't tell me it's blue when it's red. And the future looks red for Frankie de Jong. It looks Manchester United. Because it is moving now, because they're back from the US. The last 2 weeks they've been in the US. It's about the tour. They're now back from the US. Their season starts, I think, a week on Saturday. And they're looking to start their season. They're looking to register their players. So there's an urgency to Barcelona now. And I think they've been playing the long game. And I think Frankie de Jong's been playing the long game. But I think the finishing line is coming into question. So all these stories that we're now getting about, there's not a reluctance from de Jong to join Manchester United. I don't think there's ever been a reluctance from de Jong to join Manchester United. Has he ever given a public statement saying he doesn't want to come to United? I think he's after the money here. And I think that's the problem. I think I might have used that one because I feel like I've got hair in my mouth. Evening, Mark. I know you get a lot of criticism for doing this, but I think you've done an amazing job building this brand. That's why I'm always happy to contribute to the shows. Thank you very much, Sean. You're very, very much appreciated that. And Nathan's been very generous. Bloody hell, Nathan. Thanks for the super chat. He says, I think you're not getting much players is because they always wanted Poch, but they got Eric to ease the pressure of the fans so they don't have to go hard in the window so they can use the excuses if we got Eric and they're thinking, what more do you want? Says Nathan Allen. I don't know about that. I mean, there is definitely a, what's the word? Desire from Manchester United to deliver Eric Ten Hag what he wants. The problem is, it's a bit like Eric Ten Hag being a Ferrari and the driver of that Ferrari being a Pratt, basically, because they want to drive that Ferrari to the title, but they probably can't drive it higher than 8th at the moment. So I think in Ten Hag we've got a Ferrari, but we're not giving him the drivers to do it. And to do that, I think they want to do it, but as we've already known, we didn't get Darwin Núñez, we didn't get Timber, we haven't got Anthony, we haven't got de Jong yet. So he has been let down, but I do think United are trying to do something about it. They're just not very good at doing it. And at some point, I just hope United are going to learn in the transfer window. KJ, welcome to the Members Club. Hi, Mark. Hope you're doing well. Do you think if any other club was in for de Jong, it would be a 3-month saga, or is it that just still a mess, says Alex? I think that's a great question, Alex. And I want to go into the president of Barcelona's comments. So Sport in Barcelona are saying that de Jong is open to coming to Manchester United. He just won't discuss being open to a move until he's got the money that he's owed, which is probably true. But I do like that question that Alex said, and I want to just whack this up on the screen just for you to digest while I... and then I'll come to some of his quotes because there's quite a few. So that's from the president on the screen at the moment. Read it at your leisure. But I just want to go back to that comment because I think it's a really good one from Alex. Do you think any other club would have taken this long with de Jong? And I think it's a great question because we can't just be blinkered and say United are completely incompetent. Would Chelsea have had to wait this long for de Jong? Well, they might have done, but on the other hand, maybe de Jong, maybe there might have been a bit more pressure put on Barcelona to do something about it. Maybe they would have paid some of the money that he's owed. I mean, there's ways this deal could have happened quicker. We could have been more ruthless with Barcelona and started bidding for Neves and just said fuck off, and they might have moved quicker. I think that was a good tactic, and I said that a few weeks ago. Or we could have just said, well, we'll pay 10 million of de Jong's things to get him in for pre-season. Also, Barcelona have given up a lot of their future earnings with all these levers. They can't afford Frankie, says Jonathan. Welcome to Members Club, Roger. Evening, Mark. Tried a transfer request at work and it didn't work, says Michael Roach. Mark, what do you think about what Cave said, that the only way to solve Ronaldo thing is if contract was terminated, says Paul D. We can talk about Ronaldo in a bit, but I just want to talk about De Jong for now. But I think that's a great question from Alex, because I don't know what you think, and it's obviously completely opinion, but Man United have taken 3 months to get this De Jong deal done, and it's still not done. Do you think a Liverpool or a Man City or a Chelsea or a Bayern Munich would have done this quicker? We'll never know, but I think there were a couple of ways of doing it quicker. One of them was to say, and look, if I said to De Jong, we'll pay you the 10 million that you're owed by Barcelona, but we want you to join at the end of June, I think Chelsea might have done that. I think Man City might have done that, because to get De Jong on that tour and have a month of him preparing for the start of the season could be worth 10 million. I know 10 million's a lot, but what's the difference between being in the Champions League and the Europa League? It's more than 10 million. It's 50 million. So maybe a club would have said, look, Frankie, we will pay you what you're owed by Barcelona, but we want you to come in at the start of July. Then you get a whole pre-season with him to prepare for the start of the season. Maybe United could have done that. Maybe they should have done that. Maybe some people disagree with doing that. The other tactic, which I would have gone down, is I would have said to Barcelona in the middle of June, right, no, you're taking the piss. You're taking the absolute piss. We're not sitting here till the middle of August. We are going to go and buy somebody else, and we won't be coming back. So you better find yourself another buyer, because you've got 70 million there right now. If you can find 70 million elsewhere and a club that De Jong wants to go to, good luck. But if you want us to sell, if you want to sell De Jong to us, it's now. It's the middle of June. It's the end of June at the latest. We ain't waiting until bloody middle of July, and we certainly ain't waiting until the start of August. We could have done that as well, but we haven't done that. Been listening to you for a long while and want to thank you, says Tiago. Thank you very much. Mark, you deluded prat. Do you keep talking about De Jong? We're going to get him. You say he's coming, says Ramid. That just sounds like noise. Obviously, I hope we get all the signings Erik ten Hag wants, but part of me would love to see what the current players would do with proper coaching for a year. No, Kieran, no. You can't polish a turd. I don't need to see Ten Hag train some of these players that we've got, because he won't get top 4. You need quality. The best answer to that, welcome to Members Club, Krez. The best answer to that. So what he's saying is basically, I would like to see what would happen with this team if we didn't buy anybody and we just left Ten Hag to coach them. We would play better football, but Pep didn't do that when he went to Man City. Klopp didn't do that when he went to Liverpool. No top manager walks into a club and goes, I'm going to challenge myself. I'm not going to buy anybody and just see what a good coach I'm going to be. Even Conte at Spurs, you've got to get players in. You've got to get your players in. Calvin says, like a broken record, he's going to Chelsea. Let's just move on. Has it gone quiet on Anthony? Are we looking for another right winger? Says Darren. Did a video on Anthony this afternoon, Darren. It's not gone quiet. It's just going to take a bit of pushing from Anthony. When we get De Jong, can you add a broken lever in the thumbnail? Says the genius knows. Laporta is now contradicting himself, says Sean. Last week he said De Jong is our player and we want to keep him. Now it's you never know what happens in football. Critical week for De Jong. Completely agree, Sean. You've got it. As much as I don't like the idea of paying Barcelona's debt, given the state of affairs in our midfield, it's time to get De Jong here ASAP, says Andrew. And witness someone wearing McTominay shirt at the game yesterday. Didn't realise these people existed. Thought they were Twitter trolls, says LJ. They're definitely not. There are players, and if I speak, I'm in trouble. But I just want, again, we're getting some good comments in tonight, because I agree with Andrew. I think we're getting a bit too moralistic in our fan base. Ronaldo wants to leave so he can go. Bollocks. He's too good to let go. Try and keep him. De Jong doesn't want to come here, so don't buy him. Bollocks. He's way better than anything we've got in the midfield. Get him to come here. I don't like Barcelona. I don't want to pay their debt. Bollocks. Barcelona play in La Liga and the Champions League. We're playing in neither for the next year or maybe the next few years. And we're never playing in bloody La Liga, so why should I give a shit about what Barcelona are doing? If I've got the money, I'd pay the debt. I would. I mean, I just think at the end of the day, there's too many moralistic decisions being made by fans who have got no decision making at all. The reason Man United won't pay off the debt of 10 million to De Jong that Barcelona owe, it's nothing to do with morals. It's because the Glazers have just took 10 million out of the club in June, and they don't like paying extra for anything because it impacts their dividends. Witness, so I've done that one. I have whiplash with Laporta. He's a prat, says Marcus. They will have to pay De Jong what he's contractually owed. Agree with you, we should pay what he is due, says Marcus. Surely we weren't about to see McFred in the first game of the season as well as Maguire and Lindelof. Someone please wake me up, says Ralph Ranick. And hi, Mark, I can't afford a fight membership, but the odd £5 doesn't hurt, says Sean. Great show. Love the honesty and straight talking. Keep it up. Thanks, Sean. Thanks for all the nice messages tonight. Let's go through what Laporta said then. He is the coach of Barcelona, and these are some of the quotes that he's come out with today. So let me just tell you this, that... So, let me read it. Barcelona president Juan Laporta. In football, you never know. I cannot say categorically that De Jong will not join Manchester United, but because it depends on different parties. This is what I've been saying about Laporta for ages. He's the Presidente of Barcelona, and his job is to stay Presidente of Barcelona. And to do that, he's got to appeal to the fans of Barcelona. He's got to appeal to the better nature of Barcelona fans. He cannot put himself in a bad light. He cannot make himself look like a prat. Therefore, it's always about brand Barcelona and making Barcelona look good. And effectively, what he's tried to say for the last few weeks is that we don't want Frankie to go, but these players know that they've got to take a pay cut to help us survive, and we want Frankie to stay, and we don't want him to go. But behind the scenes, he's agreed a fee with Man United. Behind the scenes, Man United had no concepts or plans to sign Frankie de Jong in April until Barcelona started saying, would you buy Frankie de Jong from us? Barcelona have pushed this deal and United have gobbled it up, but it's because Barcelona have pushed it. Frankie de Jong would be a Barcelona player if Barcelona didn't want to sell him. They want to sell him, but it's all about perception. And it's interesting that he's now starting to talk about the honest truth, which is that, of course he can leave Barcelona because you want him to leave Barcelona. However, he did go on to say this. In principle, there are a lot of possibilities that De Jong stays as a president. I will do my best for him to stay at Barcelona. This doesn't concern me. This is the things that he's been talking about for the last few weeks. The possibilities of him staying are that he writes off the money that he's owed and takes a pay cut. So basically, he would have to basically take a £17 million hit and a pay cut to stay at the club. He was also asked if he offered Frankie de Jong to Chelsea at a dinner with Todd Bowley. He said no. We had a very nice dinner in Barcelona. We talked in general about football. He's a very profitable and successful businessman and is involved with lots of sports. So he denies that he offered him to Chelsea, which he probably did offer him to Chelsea, because again, it's about perception and he doesn't want to be coming across as offering players up for sale. But this was interesting as well. The players we have signed this summer is an investment. Sometimes people consider this as an expense. Well, normally when you buy something, it is an expense. I mean, you're not buying gold. It's not going to bloody hold its value for 30 years, is it? You know, the existing players understand our investment because those we are signing adjust their salaries to the new salary structure of Barcelona. So this is really interesting to me, because what he's trying to say is they're pulling all these levers to bring money into the club. And I wish we were pulling levers to bring money into the club and not taking it out, to be honest. I'd rather be pulling levers than giving out dividends to the Glazers. But what he's basically saying here is there's an accusation against Barcelona, quite rightly, that you're getting all this money to come in, that you're then using to buy players. How is that fair on the players that you're trying to get pay cuts from, or depriving them of money that they're owed? So what he's trying to do here is justify. He's trying to say, look, the players we've signed, like Lewandowski and Rafinha and Koundé, the current players understand that they're an investment and that the new players are taking a pay cut to come here. So he's trying to say that it's not unfair because the new players are coming in and taking a pay cut. But it doesn't matter if a new player's coming in and they're on £50 a week. It's still an expense. It's still an added expense that you are basically saying to your current players. Basically, the way I look at it is like this. If I'm Frankie de Jong and I'm owned 17 million quid and I've been a servant of this club for the last 3 years and I've taken a pay cut over the last 3 years and been promised that 17 million for doing that, if I don't get that 17 million because the club are buying new players, I don't agree with Laporta that I'm okay with that. Like, maybe you should give people what they're owed before you go and buy players. And what Laporta's trying to say is, oh no, the current players understand. They understand that we're spending that money on new players because the new players are coming on cheaper wages. It doesn't make any sense. Why if I'm Frankie de Jong, would I be okay with that? You owe me 17 million. You've got about 500 million come into the club and you've spent that on other things other than what you owe me. I wouldn't be okay with that. And you want me to take a pay cut as well. It's not right. It's moralistically, it's not right. However he spins it. But then he did go on to say, if we don't do anything, then the club would disappear. read into that what you like. I don't know what he means by that, to be honest. If we don't do anything, then the club will disappear. Look, at the end of the day, I like Barcelona. I felt very sorry for them when Messi left last summer, but I just think there's so much flip-flopping and there's so many half-truths that it generates quite a lot of frustration in the Barcelona fan base. Obviously, Chelsea have been frustrated with them. Bayern have been frustrated with them. Some United fans are frustrated with them. I'm not frustrated with them. I just don't think we get the truth. The truth is this, and we can handle the truth. The truth is they want to get money in to buy players because last summer they had to lose Messi. They never wanted to lose Messi, and they don't want that to happen again. So they've generated a load of money this summer by selling off shares, whatever, so that they can buy the Lewandowskis and the Rafinhas and the Koundés. That's up to them, but they do want to sell De Jong and other players as well. What I don't like about Barcelona is that they pretend they don't want to sell De Jong when they do, and then they try and justify it by saying, well, everyone needs to take a pay cut if they want to stay here. But not everybody has to do what Barcelona want to do. Been listening to you for a while. We've done that one, haven't we? Andrew says, with Fred getting sent off at the weekend, doesn't that rule him out for the weekend? No, it's pre-season, Andrew. The treatment of De Jong has been an absolute disgrace by Barcelona, says Ralph. I don't believe that he wants to stay at a club that would treat him so poorly and play out of position. Love you, Mark, says Ralph. I think that this Frenkie De Jong saga is setting him and Erik Ten Hag up to fail. So much pressure on a manager defying a typical transfer strategy for his marquee player, says Joe. All these levers, yet they can't pay the man what he's owed and then sell him, says Red Spurf United. I mean, that's what they should just do. That's what they should just do. And I don't really care enough to deep dive into Barcelona's situation, but it does impact us because our midfield is McTominay and Fred. So, I do blame Barcelona for that. It's your fault we're picking McFred against Brighton and Brentford. But the truth just needs to be dealt with. You want to sell De Jong, you want the 70 million from us, but you don't want to pay him the money he's owed. And De Jong will not leave until you do. Solve that situation and solve it quick for everybody's sake. But it just rumbles on and on and on. Like most things in life, when people are stubborn, it ends up not getting resolved, and at the last minute it has to be resolved. So yeah, let's just see what happens with it. I don't know, but I do believe he's going to come to Manchester United, and I do believe that it will get resolved. And I also just want to say that when I think about De Jong, you know what I think about? It's not a negative. You know what I think about? No more McFred. And for me, that has to be... I don't understand somebody that says, I don't want De Jong because he doesn't want to come to our club. Do you want McFred in your midfield or do you want De Jong? It's as simple as that. Sometimes life can be simplified really, really easy. I don't want lasagna for tea. Do you want lasagna for tea or do you want to go to bed without any dinner? You can tell what I'm like. But if it was Seb, I'd say, what do you want? I can do your pizza. I can go and get you a curry. But that's just Seb because he's spoiled. But the reality is not really spoiled. But it is that simple, isn't it? McFred or De Jong. What do you want this season? Do you want to watch McFred every week or do you want De Jong in your midfield? Well, I tell you what, I'll run a poll if you like, but I'm going to run a poll. Let's do a poll. Sometimes it's that simple because it is that simple. Do you want McFred in your midfield this year or do you want De Jong in your midfield this year? Simple as that. Don't talk to me about morals. Don't talk to me about moving on. Don't talk to me about Ruben Neves because he's not even a bloody target. Or Yuri Tillemans. I'm telling you now, McFred are going to start against Brighton and they're going to start against Brentford. Do you want him to start against Liverpool, Southampton and every other bloody team this season? Or do you want De Jong? I think we need to just simplify things. I'm here to simplify. 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 Get it down. Simplify. Simplify. Do you want Martial as your striker this season or do you want Martial and Ronaldo as your options this season? Do you want McFred or do you want De Jong in the midfield this season? Do you want to go into a season with Sancho, Rashford, Elanga and Chong as your wingers or would you like Anthony to be your winger as well? Simplify. I want Ronaldo as an option up front and I want De Jong in the midfield. And we can all argue about they don't want to be here and it's a waste of money and that. But sometimes the simple solution is, do you want De Jong or do you want McFred? I'm not listening to you about, shut up about Neves. We're not buying anything Portuguese. It's not happening this summer. What When's Incy back, Marky? I'm trying to get him on, but he is busy with Reading at the moment. Cornetto. Whoa, I love Cornettos. Welcome to Members Club. I wish it was a real Cornetto. And it's the strawberry one. I love Cornettos. Cornettos. If you remember Cornettos, you're from a GOAT era. I used to like the Magnificos, which was like a massive Cornetto. It's a bit like a Cornetto, and then you use Manscaped, and it gets bigger, like a Magnifico. Barca is building stronger team while getting rid of players they don't need on huge wages. They will have a stronger team on a lower wage bill. It's smart, says Ricky. Well, yeah, I think you're right. That is the plan. You've absorbed the plan. Well done, Ricky. Ralph, 2 + 2 is Matic. Thanks. Welcome to the Members Club, Ralph. Barcelona is making good signings and that brings hope of silverware, says Zuck. And that won't happen anytime soon if he joins United. But you've just contradicted the good comment. Barcelona are trying to get everybody on cheap wages to lower their wage bill. Frankie de Jong makes their wage bill very big. You know what Frankie de Jong is? He's like Manscaped with your wage. Oh, it's great tonight. Get my lawnmower 4.0, right? So, Barcelona's wage bill with Frankie de Jong in it is like trimming yourself. It gets bigger. Frankie de Jong without that means it's a smaller wage bill. So, Frankie de Jong is sponsored by Manscaped because he makes your wage bill get bigger. I could do this all night. Here's what I don't understand. This is why brands want to work with me, because I just think outside the box. I don't just read a script and don't get involved. I can actually bring it into things all the time. Here's what I don't understand. Why does de Jong have to stay at Barca in order to resolve his unpaid wages? A contract is a contract, or does it get written off if he signs for another club, says B. Yakov. Depends what he signed as a contract. It might have been just a goodwill gesture. Maybe when COVID hit, they said to Frankie, look, we're broke. Can you defer your wages for 2 years and then we'll pay you back? And maybe he went, yeah, I will. But maybe he didn't sign anything. Laporta's back is against the wall and he knows it. If I was negotiating, I would lower the offer and pay it to de Jong as a signing fee. Unfortunately, there is no time to do it, says Andrew Rossi. I don't know, and I don't think many people know the intricacies of this deal. I think all we do know is that we've made an offer to Barcelona for 70 million and they've accepted it. You're right. Why can't you just say to United? Why can't you just say, well, we're knocking it down to 65? If they're desperate, they still need it. If they're not desperate, why are they selling him anyway? So they must be desperate. Love the show, Mark, says Dan. Thank you, Dan. Sorry, mate, Mr. Stark. Can I get a summary of the show? Says DE. No, I'm not handing them out. And hi, Mark. Couldn't United pay the 17 million and then take Barcelona to court to get it back? Says Mark and Ruben. They could do. So as a summary, actually, in general, Sport are saying that Frankie de Jong does want to come to United. He just won't publicly admit it until he's got his money he's owed. And then you've got Laporta, the president, who's done an interview today, who's saying we'd like to keep Frankie and there's possibilities of doing it, but we can't say for definite that he won't join Man United. Look, Barcelona, if Frankie de Jong stays at Barcelona, he's going to have to get a big marker pen and write mug across his forehead because he'll be a big mug. In fact, you'll probably be able to drink tea out of his head because he'll be a mug. Because if he stays at Barcelona, and the reason Laporta keeps talking about it, the only way Barcelona can afford to keep Frankie de Jong, because he's bloody expensive, he's their biggest wage earner and they owe him 17 million euros, the only way they can keep Frankie de Jong is by making him take a pay cut and also by making him write off the 17 million he's owed. And even then, they've bought players to replace him. So he's taken a pay cut, he's not taking the 17 million he's owed, and he might not even be a starter. Come on. I've never heard anybody explain it as brilliantly as I have there. And I'm not blowing wind up my own arse, but the reality is I've probably just solved it. And I've said this many times before. But why would Frankie de Jong agree to take a major pay cut, write 17 million euros off, and then probably sit on the bench? Like, he's not massively part of Xavi's plans. He has got replacements. Why would you do that? You'd have to be M-U-G, mug. Why would you do that? Why would you take a massive pay cut, write off 17 million euros, and then potentially not get picked? And I tell you what, they'd make him sign something. It wouldn't be, oh, Frankie, you can change your mind in 2 weeks. It would be sign a bloody contract to reduce your wages, write off 17 million euros, and then he'll be sat on the bloody bench. That's the way he stays at Barcelona. But the way, I think it's becoming very obvious that Frankie de Jong does want to go. He didn't, but I think he does because he knows he has to go, and it's all about the money he's owed. Oh, it is. Anyway, Let's have a look at what some people have got to say in the chat. Will you be satisfied with Sesko and De Jong? Pranay. Great question, Pranay, because I don't think we're going to get Sesko. I don't know what you think, let's go. But I don't think we're going to get Sesko. I'll tell you why. I don't think we're going to get Sesko. We're not going to get Sesko. I'll tell you why we're not going to get Sesko. I should have been like Frank Sinatra. Can imagine me just making up songs with that voice. The reason I don't think we're going to get Sesko is because the price that's coming out at the moment is it's 40 million quid, at least. Like, I don't know where that money comes from. I think worst case scenario here, right? Let me just, I can see a situation where we get Sesko. Right? This is where we get Sesko, yeah? Ronaldo leaves. We don't get Anthony. We get De Jong and Sesko. Are you happy with that? That's shit. That is absolute shit. So you get De Jong, you lose a striker, you replace him with a 19-year-old and you don't get your winger. What I want to see happen is we keep Ronaldo, we get De Jong and we get Anthony. The squad's in a much better position because Sesko just replaces a leaving striker, whereas De Jong is you get De Jong anyway, so forget De Jong. You get De Jong anyway. But if you get Sesko and you sell Ronaldo, you're just replacing a striker. If you keep Ronaldo and you get Anthony, you're keeping your striker and you're bringing a winger in. So that's the only way I see this happening. I wouldn't bet against it, but I don't see it happening. But I don't think that's good. You're just replacing your striker if you get Sesko. We need the winger. So keep Ronaldo, get the winger, and get De Jong. Shahin, do you smell what the Rock is cooking? Says D. Thank you, D. Barcelona might be waiting to finish all their signings, else other clubs know they have 75 million. This deal might happen on deadline day. Could happen on deadline day, Rohit. Is it possible that if Barca paid De Jong the 70 million, it would still count against their salary cap? Don't know. You're going too deep for me, Jason. And any backup to Anthony, says Sunday. I don't think... Chris says De Jong is going to leave Barca. It's only a matter of time. Just wish we would have made more significant signings beforehand, says Chris. I agree with that. Too many in this fan base are reactive. People are treating Ronaldo like he's deadwood. Watch him score a hat-trick and see them bend their opinion. I don't understand the opinion against Ronaldo, to be honest. I really don't. If Frankie stays at Barcelona, well, he would need some big floppy shoes and a red nose, says Ray, meaning he'd be a clown. I don't disagree with that. What was that? And I want to talk about backup. Back up. You better get the track up. Too many fans in the base. Done that from Ray as well. Back up. I'll forget if I don't keep saying back up. Mark, is it possible we only see De Jong in the January transfer window? No. Why would he wait? I don't see that happen. It will be August or never, Regan. Mark, is there any chance that our transfer business is finished, says Aram? Surely that's worst case scenario. I would hope not, Aram. I mean, never say never, but I don't think that would happen. Barca have to sell 25% of TV rights, which is Lever 3, so they can register all their new players. Doesn't cover Frankie's wages, though. Our fee will have to pay it, says Sean Turner. And do you think Anthony is a similar player to Dan James, good crosser and fast, says Ajit. I'm liking that question as well. Zero says, hi Mark, to be honest, the only way we don't get a failed transfer window is if we get De Jong, Sesko and Anthony, says Zero. And keep Ronaldo, yes. And Rupi says, either you are on crack cocaine today or you finally lost it due to the incompetence of the club. Either way, fair enough, says Rup. Okay. Do people not have a personality where you live? I'm just having a bit of fun. But back up. Let me just say this. First, before I talk about backup, somebody asked about Anthony being a bit like Dan James. I'm glad somebody asked that because our members video that's going up tomorrow morning is a deep dive comparing Sancho to Anthony. And you will realise very, very quickly that Anthony is not Dan James. He's a very different player. Anthony off the right and Sancho off the left is the dream. And you'll see why tomorrow when I put that members video up. But backup. Is there any backup to Anthony? I am going to stake a claim here. I really am. I'm going to say something and stand by it. I don't think we have backups. I don't think we have backups for De Jong or Anthony. I think they are get me those players or don't bother. And I know that sounds a bit counterproductive, and I would agree that it is. But maybe Ten Hag has looked at United's transfer history and gone, I've seen what happens when they get you backups. We've bought a lot of backups for Solskjaer, for Mourinho, for Van Gaal. They got a lot of options threes. They didn't get option 1 and 2. They got a lot of option threes. And maybe Ten Hag is bright, and maybe he said, I don't want backups, because there's 2 advantages to that. One, you're basically not giving them an opportunity to go for a cheaper option, and 2, it makes it very obvious to the fans who's at fault. I don't know whether that's Ten Hag's angle, but I actually think, as much as it's counterproductive, it's also quite clever. It puts massive pressure on Murta and co to get the first option, and if we don't get them, it puts massive pressure on the Glazers for not backing the manager. So I think it's quite a good idea to say I don't want backups. Some people would say it's all part of the tactics. If you say there's no backup to Frenkie de Jong, it means that, you're basically putting pressure on Barcelona. But I think it actually makes you more desperate in a way. But what I've been told, and Ten Hag has sort of hinted at it, there's no backup for Frenkie de Jong. He's even said, if I don't get Frenkie de Jong, I'll just train somebody up to do that job. So I don't think there's a backup for Frenkie de Jong. I don't think there's a backup for Antony. I really don't. I think he wants those 2 players, and if we don't get them, he'll go into the season without them, which is unbelievable. But as I said, maybe he's doing that because he doesn't want to give the club backup options, because they'll just go for them anyway. Imagine if he'd said, Antony is the player I want, but if you don't get Antony, I'll go for Sarr from Watford. We'd have Sarr already. United would just go, oh yeah, we tried to get Antony, he's too expensive, so we spent 30 million on Sarr. Maybe that's why he's doing it. Mark, I think a midfielder and striker are our priorities. Garnacho is left-footed, and maybe our Ten Hag could replicate Antony with him. Also, can Garner be a starter? I think so. I don't like that theory, to be honest. I respect it, but I don't like it. Thank you, Nimel, for your message. I don't like it because a young player should never be the option for an experienced player. You bring young players into a situation where they're not under pressure, and I think it puts a lot of pressure on Garnacho if you're saying he's the replacement for Antony. Daniel, welcome to Members Club. Also, welcome to Eddie as well. Mark, you should do streams talking to members about transfers and news. Would be epic, says Wand. We can do that. Mark, I'm worried we don't sign anyone because Murta in next window will be tougher. Imagine we don't get Eric Ten Hag anyone over 2 years, says Jack. Train a backup like who, says Give It to Mikey. I mean, football's coming home, it's coming home, says Nathan. Look, there's absolutely no way we can't buy a midfielder. I'd love to sit here and be a scaremonger and say we're not going to buy a midfielder, but logically it's not. It doesn't make any sense. Our midfield is crap. It is crap. It's proven crap. You can pretend all you like, but our midfield is crap. And I'm not naming individuals. You can name whoever you like. I mean, I'd put Matic and Pogba in that. Our midfield last year was crap. We did not discriminate. You can be Norwich or Man City. We'll still get dominated by you in the midfield. We were crap in the midfield, and we're still crap in the midfield. We've got to buy a midfielder. I'm so confident we'll sign a midfielder, and I'm so confident it will be De Jong, because we have to buy. We need 2 really, but we have to buy a midfielder for the simple reason our midfield was crap last year, and we've lost half of it. Matic and Pogba have gone. Even if gone as a replacement, it's not full replace. You can't replace 2 players. So we've got to buy a midfielder. You don't believe it, but a cheap alternative who we could get instead of Antony that would be worth it is Moussa Diaby of Leverkusen. He's perfect. We've never been linked to MSK though. I think the reason I don't think there are any backups is because there's just no noise. There is no noise. Even when we were going for Sancho that summer, I mean, take yourself back 2 years ago to another crap transfer window when we were trying to get Sancho. There was alternatives to Sancho. Remember when everyone was going, Romano was saying, so close you can almost touch it. I was going 95% or whatever, and it didn't happen. But there were alternatives. That was the summer that we were looking at Sarr. That was the summer we were looking at Dembele. That we were looking at alternatives to Sancho. And I think that's the glimpse you need. Look at that summer when we were after Sancho. We were getting linked to Kingsley Coman. We were getting linked to Dembele and Sarr. We're not being linked to anybody at the moment because we're not looking at anybody else. All for backing the manager, but he's still open to criticism. Oh yeah, Jose, look, I'm 100% behind Ten Hag. I think he's, I'm so happy with him, so excited. But nobody should be above criticism. I've said this before. I mean, I've worked in lots of jobs and I've had lots of managers and I've managed lots of people. And it's very rare in life that you find a manager that you can't that you agree with 100%. I mean, if I managed you, you would, because we'd just sit down and have a chat about something that you think you're right on, and after a couple of minutes, you'd realise I was right all along. Brian Clough quote. But no, I mean, I've had some fantastic managers over my life, not just in football, but in my work life, and really respect them. And I wouldn't have died for them. I mean, the money wasn't that much, but I would have stuck up for them and everything like that. But we didn't agree on everything, because I don't agree with anybody on everything, because nobody's 100% right. Like, even Sir Alex, the greatest manager there's ever been, he got things wrong. So, of course, Ten Hag's open to criticism, and I'm sorry, he will make mistakes. And there will be times over the coming weeks and months where I sit there and I go, I don't agree with that. He's got that completely wrong. But that's just life. I still back him. Going back to the absolutes again, aren't you? Some people think that if you say I don't agree with that about Ten Hag, you don't agree. You're not backing him. But I don't agree with Maguire being the captain. I don't agree with picking Maguire over Varane. But I'm not losing sleep over it. I think in time I'll get proved right, or he'll prove me wrong. And either way, I don't mind. I hope he proves me wrong, actually, because it'll mean we don't lose any points. Hi, Mark. Something to make you laugh. My husband thinks the Glazers are doing an amazing job and Ronaldo is overrated, but he's a prat. Thanks, says Tracy Taylor. Probably a Liverpool fan as well. Hi, Mark. Just read an article posted today about Chelsea trying to hijack the De Jong deal from us. What do you think of that, says Tom. I'd be very surprised if De Jong went to Chelsea, but if De Jong goes to Chelsea and Ronaldo goes to Chelsea, we may as well just go and support Chelsea, aren't we? We're screwed. But no, on a serious level, of course he could go to Chelsea. Of course Chelsea could swoop in, but I don't think that's on the agenda. I mean, Chelsea are about to spend 130 million on Fofana and Cucurella. They've already spent about how much have they spent already? Koulibaly was about 30, was he? I think Sterling was 40. So they spent about 80 million on Koulibaly and Sterling. They're going to spend about 120 on Cucurella and Fofana. That's 200 million. Are they going to go and spend another 70 on De Jong? How can they justify that? How can they justify a 270 million pound spend? So I know they try and sell players, but they've not really sold anybody, have they? I mean, Rudiger went for free. So I don't see the maths stacking up. And to be fair, I'm sort of pretending to be clever there, because a Chelsea fan told me that today. They said, I don't really see why we would go and spend that money on De Jong when we've got Kovacic, we've got Kante still, we've still got Jorginho, we've got Conor Gallagher, we've got options in the midfield where we're not strong is defence. Because they're going to lose a lot of defenders. They've lost Christensen, they've lost Rudiger, Alonso and Azpilicueta. They've lost 4 starters, really. So that's where they need to invest. We already advanced 10 quid of the add-ons for Frankie de Jong. Why should we cover their debt as well? Sesko should be bought and sent back to Salzburg on loan, says Mario Franco. And then let's make some noise ourselves, Mark. Past evidence proves they do listen to us. Do you think we'd have gotten Eric Ten Hag if it wasn't for our noise, says SK. The fans are more powerful than you think. I mean, look, I don't know what is going on in relation to protests and things like that, because, I respect it, but it's got nothing to do with me. I've not been approached about it. I've not been asked to support it. So I don't get involved in it. But I know that there was talk of there being protests yesterday. I remember that being mentioned a few weeks ago. It didn't happen. Are there protests ahead of the Brighton game? I don't know. But, the club don't want those sort of things to happen. They want positivity, and there is a lot of positivity around Ten Hag. And respectfully, maybe some fans don't want to protest because they don't want to disrespect Ten Hag. But I don't think the protests anybody's ever done are about the manager. It's always been about the owners. So we'll have to wait and see whether all that stuff comes in again. Mohammed says Ronaldo to Napoli. Look, my stance on Ronaldo is I think he's a GOAT of the game. And I think he's the best player we've got. And I want him to stay because I want the best players we've got, because I want us to finish in the top 4. If he goes, we're weaker without Ronaldo. But all I've been doing over the last 24 hours is defending a man who was being bullied, basically, by lies. And I think, when you say somebody's a shit footballer based on them being a shit footballer. You can probably use better words, but it's not bullying. If you think somebody's a crap footballer, they're a crap footballer. If you think somebody's a crap comedian because they don't make you laugh, they're a crap comedian. But if you start sending threats to somebody's family who's a footballer, that's out of order. And if you start saying that a player stormed out of the ground and, you know, cropping photos so that nobody can see below, and then saying that he didn't have permission, or hinting that he didn't have permission when he did, then that's just bullying, because you are making up stories to basically turn people against somebody. And that can happen at school, that can happen in the workplace, that can happen in a friendship group, and it's not right. You might not like somebody, you might have reasons not to like somebody, but making up lies about them, it's wrong. I've had this happen to me. I've had it happen to me professionally in this. It's cost me opportunities in this industry because people spread lies about me from other channels and things. It's not right and it's not fair. And I've had, you know, I'm sure many of you have had those things happen to you in family functions and friends and workplaces. It's not fair. If somebody says to me, yeah, you're not coming on Talk Sport because you're absolutely shit, it's not nice, but there's nothing I can do about it. But if somebody at Talk Sport says to me, you know, you're not coming on the show because such and such from such and such a channel has said that you're this, that and the other, well, that's not fair, is it? Because that's not true. And I think that's all I'm doing about Ronaldo is I'm just saying that last night I knew that information was inaccurate. It's a shame it took until this morning for it to come out from a credible outlet, even though we've been proved right 2 or 3 times now on Ronaldo stories. I just don't like it. I don't mind people disliking Ronaldo as a player. I don't mind if they don't like him as a person. That's their choice. But trying to get other people to dislike him based on your lies, that's not right. And that picture was purposely cropped to take Delo out of it. And he was absolutely allowed to leave when he left. And other players left with him at that time. And it was with the knowledge of Manchester United and the manager. So that's all I'm saying about that. What I will say is, I can't guarantee to you that he will be a United player in September. I'm absolutely eyes wide open to that. I'm absolutely eyes wide open to the fact that he wants to leave. And I'm absolutely eyes wide open that he could go to Napoli, he could go to Sporting Lisbon, he could go to Bayern, he could go to Atletico Madrid. I'm not saying that he's going to stay at United. I really, really hope that he does. And I really, really hope that he does because he's our best player. And we need attackers. We're so short up front. So I want him to stay for them reasons. But I'll say it again. I absolutely understand his frustration. He was one of very few players last year that delivered and tried and worked hard. He scored 18 goals in the worst United side I've seen. We're not in the Champions League and it wasn't because of him. Like, if half our team had delivered like Ronaldo did, we would have got top 4. And we didn't. So I understand his frustration with the team last year. And I also understand that his frustration has been further compounded by the fact that the team has not been improved on. And if you're Ronaldo and you're on holiday in June, you're thinking, I'm pissed off we're not in the Champions League. We should be in the Champions League. I worked my arse off. A couple of other players did, but most of them were falling out, unprofessional. What's happened to this bloody football club? How has the Glazers let this happen to this football club? This wasn't the club I left. It's a bloody shell of the club it was. And what business are we doing? Players are walking out the door that are better than what we're being left with and we're not replacing them. Where's the ambition? I can see what's happening here. I'm going to go back to United and I'm going to have a season like last year where I'm stood up front on my own. May as well be doing a bloody Tesco shop. Where's the players to come in? And I think he's just got frustrated and said, look, you're not in the Champions League, which is a big thing for me. And then you've not bought any bloody decent players to make my job easier. And I've seen 4 or 5 players walking out the door that are better than the ones that you've still got here. I want to leave because you're not showing any ambition. And I completely understand that theory. I don't have to convince you. But I understand, you know, when I put it like that, I understand it. Frustrated from last year. No new players brought in that really help the midfield or the attack. 3 or 4 players leave that were actually better than some players that we've got. And he's meant to come back with a smile on his face and say, let's do it. Thursday night football, here we go. Like, there has been a lack of ambition and a lack of a statement from the club to improve. I personally think that if United had bought De Jong and Anthony and Eriksen and Martinez and Malacia by the end of June, I think Ronaldo would be more open to staying. I really do, because we'd have better players. But I don't think we've done ourselves any favours. Other clubs buy players who are too good for their clubs. Man United buy players who are too expensive for their clubs, says Nicholas. And Joshua, evening Joshua, hope you're well. Do you think we go for Dumfries if Wan-Bissaka goes on loan, or do you think he's staying now with Laird going Watford on loan? I still think there's hope with Dumfries, Joshua Bowater. Laird's gone on loan. We need to get rid of Wan-Bissaka, you're right. But when you look at it like this, and you make a great point here, we've just spoken about whether Chelsea will go for De Jong. How are they going to go for De Jong? £70 million for De Jong is what we've offered. Sterling and Koulibaly is about 80 million spend. Cucurella's another 50 or 40 if they include players, or 30, 110, whatever. Fofana will be about another, 50, 60. So they're going to spend around 170 to 200 million pounds on those 4 players. If they then go for Dumfries, that's another 30. Where are they going to get the money for De Jong to go? You can't have a 300 million pound spend, basically. And I just don't see them being able to do that. And they might not be able to get Dumfries either. But they are advanced with Dumfries. So I'd say Chelsea are the favourites. But Dumfries is a player that Ten Hag really wants. The problem with Dumfries and the problem with Malacia is that we nearly missed out on Malacia for the same reason we'll probably miss out on Dumfries. He wants Dumfries and he wants Malacia. But we couldn't go for them until we got rid of players. We haven't got rid of Wan-Bissaka yet, which gives Chelsea a free run at Dumfries. I don't know how we managed to do it with Malacia. I think it's because his price was so cheap. Because he was going to go to Lyon. We hadn't sold Telles. And I think Ten Hag said, look, that's only 12 million. Just do it. Just do that deal now. Because if he goes to Lyon, he's gone. I don't think we can do that with Dumfries. I don't think he's cheap enough for us to do that. Updates on De Jong. We've just spent ages talking about the rage. I'm not going to go over it again. Sounds crass, but don't let Americans manage English teams. Look what happened to Sunderland, says Saul. I think that's unfair. I think it's unfair. It's a bit like saying don't let Americans play football. You can't put one nation and stereotype them. I think there are pitfalls with American owners, some American owners, because American football, for example, is a franchise. If you win the Super Bowl once every 10 years, you're doing quite well. You can't bring that to a club like Manchester United because we're not a franchise league. Man United can't win the Premier League once every 10 years. We can't win the Premier League at all at the moment, but the expectation with Man United is that you challenge for the league every year. The expectation for Dallas Cowboys is not to be in the Super Bowl final every year because that's not realistic. So I think sometimes with American owners, they don't necessarily grasp how European sport works compared to franchise football, which is why they wanted the Super League and probably thought they were doing nothing wrong. It's going to be very interesting, though, to see how Todd Boehly does at Chelsea because he seems to be very different mindset to that. Liverpool, I think their owners are American, aren't they, as well? So, look, there's examples of good American owners and there's an example of bad American owners. There's examples of terrible British owners and there's example of good British owners as well. So, I think the definition of a good football owner is very simple. It's a bit like the poll that I've got to go back to. It's very simple. The definition of a good footballer owner is, are they treating you as a brand or are they treating you as a football club? And if you treat a club as a football club, you're a good owner because all you're bothered about is being a good football team. And by being a football team, you've got to buy the best players. You've got to try and recruit the best players, get rid of the crap players, develop the best players. Whereas if you treat a club as a brand, you're always thinking about commercial deals. Do you want to spend money on that because it's going to affect the profit levels? And that doesn't matter what nationality of owner you are. If you've got owners who want to be a good football club, whether it's Man City, PSG, Newcastle, Liverpool, or have you got owners that are a bit more about being a brand like Man United? And I suppose Arsenal have been like that to a certain extent. Anyway, going to the poll, this is another simple thing. Do you want De Jong or do you want McFred? I'm absolutely surprised that we've had 14,000 votes and 12% of people have voted for McFred. That means over 1,000 people, in fact more than that, over 1,500 people voted they'd rather have McFred than De Jong. It brings tears to your eyes. It brings tears to my eyes because I can't believe it, but it also brings tears to my eyes of joy. What a wonderful, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. But I do think to myself, what a wonderful world, because how boring would it be if it was 100%? There is actually 1,500 people who think we're better off with McFred than De Jong. Oh, to be in their mind for 5 seconds. I'm going to have some cornflakes for my dinner with no milk. And I'm not going to not wear my pants. I'm always going to walk around in my pants all day. And watch shit on TV. I don't know, I'm only joking. No, I think it's great that people have different opinions. I don't have to agree with them, but I think it's great that people do have different opinions. It'd be a very boring world if we all had the same. Stephen says, how can any player be satisfied with the ambitions of the club or as greedy as the Glazers if they don't share Ronaldo's drive for better? You know what, Stephen? I think it's something that's dropped into my head, so I'm going to tell you what I think about this. I actually was thinking this the other week because I was thinking about how Ronaldo is not happy with the ambitions of the football club. Every journalist that Adam and Ryan spoke to on the tour, everybody you talk to about this says one of the reasons Ronaldo wants to leave is the lack of signings. Like, he's not been impressed by the summer. Of course he wants to play in the Champions League, but he knew United weren't in the Champions League in May when he said he was staying. One of the things that's really pushed him over the edge is the lack of signings. So, at the very least, whether you like Ronaldo or not, or whether you agree with him or not, you have to accept that one of the reasons he wants to leave is the lack of ambition and the lack of signings. I agree with that. I agree with that mentality. I agree with him being pissed off with how we played last year. I agree with him shouting and moaning at players for their lack of leadership and all that shit that happened last year. I agree with him on all that. But what about the players who don't do that? What about the players who are in that dressing room who are smiling around, getting on with their job? What do they... do they genuinely not see what's going to happen this season? And I'm not going to name names because it could be Rashford, Bruno, Luke Shaw, Harry Maguire, Anthony Martial, David De Gea, any player you think of. What do they think when they're on tour or they're on the winning team? Do they engage their brain and actually think we're going to have a good season this year with this squad? Are they that stupid? Or are they just like, oh, I don't really care, I'm getting paid? I don't have the answer. And I like a lot of those players, but we know what Ronaldo thinks. He thinks it's a bloody joke, this summer transfer window. We know what you think. You think it's a bloody joke, most of you. But what do people like Bruno and Harry Maguire and David De Gea and Marcus Rashford think about this squad? They were there last year. They saw what happened. Do they think Eric Ten Hag's going to sprinkle his magic fairy dust over their head and we're going to turn into prime Liverpool? Or do they just not care? Are they just really about themselves, their wage, and doing well for themselves? Because to tell you what, it raises a good point, because Roy Keane used to talk about it all the time when he was at United. We need to buy some players. We didn't invest in the summer properly and we've fallen behind. I remember he's getting knocked out the Champions League quite a few times in the early noughties, and Roy Keane would come out and after it in an interview when we've just been knocked out, and he'd say, we've only got ourselves to blame. We needed to build on last year. We needed to buy a couple of players and we didn't do it. And winners know that. Winners look at their team and look at what other teams are doing. They look at who's buying who. I'd love to know what this current set of players... We know what Ronaldo thinks. He's not happy. But I'd love to know what some of the current players really think. Or are they genuinely not bothered? Do they genuinely think we're okay with what we've got? I don't know. It's an interesting... I was thinking about it a few weeks ago and I thought, I wonder what they do think. And maybe they should be a bit more vocal about it. Or maybe they just don't want to be vocal. Or maybe they don't care. Or maybe they think we're fine. I don't know. I mean, they're the ones actually playing for United this season. We're going to have to watch it and hope we do well, but they're actually playing. What do they actually think about that squad? Or maybe the issue is that they're not that good and they think they are. I don't know. It's an interesting one. I voted for McFred as a joke, says Dance. I did have playing Crunchy Nut Cornflakes for dinner. I like Crunchy Nut Cornflakes for dinner. Can't knock it, Dance. Do you think Ronaldo could be a future owner of United, says Callum? I don't know what his future's going to be. I don't know what it is going to be, to be fair. There was a comment there from Nathan. The poll could be non-Man United fans voting as well. Of course it could. Of course it is. But I do think it comes down to that simplistic option. Do you want McFred or do you want De Jong? I wouldn't think about, I don't want De Jong because it's taking so long. I don't want De Jong because it's too expensive. I don't want De Jong because he doesn't want to be here. I think all those things, as valid as they are irrelevant, because we are in a situation now where, do you want McFred as your starting midfielder up midfield, or do you want De Jong in that midfield? And I want De Jong. Do you want Martial as your only option up front, or do you want Martial and Ronaldo? I want Martial and Ronaldo. Do you want no more signings for the wing, or do you want Anthony in there? I want Anthony in there. Mark, I'm going to scare you more than Jaws. What if we see De Jong at number 6 with McFred as the number 8 with Bruno, Donny, Ericsson on the bench? Hey, anything's possible, Raven. Anything's possible. I never thought in a million years I would see a situation like I'm going to see on Sunday where Rafael Varane, 4 times Champions League winner, World Cup winner, one of the best centre-backs in the world, is sat on the bench for Harry Maguire. I never thought I would see that. I'm not going to moan about it, but I never thought I'd see it. So you saying maybe McFred still play with De Jong in the midfield 3 with Bruno, Ericsson and Donny on the bench? Well, I never thought I'd see that, but I might. You know, you just don't. You don't know. You just don't know. As I say, I never thought I would see it live in a world where Varane is getting benched for Harry Maguire, but we're living in it. We're living in it. 4K, caught in 4K. Anyway, look, thanks everyone for watching. I've enjoyed the show tonight. It's been a good one. Please smash a like on the video and make sure you subscribe, bottom right hand corner. The QR code is there. Scan it with your phone on your way out. Manscaped, 20% off. Free worldwide shipping. The code is United Stand, but if you go through the website, if you go through the link in the description or you scan the QR code, it will get knocked off 20% automatically. Trim your balls to make your grass look bigger. That's not right. Trim the grass to make the yard look bigger. Trim your balls to make your knob look bigger. I suppose that would be it. Don't worry, it's after 9 o'clock. Thanks everyone for watching. Take care. Speak to you all in a bit. It's been a cracking show, cracking chat, cracking debate. That's what it's all about. The debates we've been having on this show have been running for years and years, and that's the only interest I've got. It's the debate that we have within this community, and we debate every single day. Thanks for watching. Take care. Stay safe.